Well, good morning YouTube, and welcome along to another episode of Silver Fox Travels. Today is the 7th of June, and I've got a job I need to be cracking on with today. And as it's a rather wet day, I think I'm going to be spending most of the time in the garage. And what I need to be doing today is a bit of a service on the Fox. I'm going to do an oil change, oil filter, air filter, check the brakes, adjust as necessary, and generally just tighten and tidy and fettle the old girl and make sure she's good for another year. She's due an MOT in about a week or so's time, so I need to get all this done before then, and I'll let you know how I get on with that test. But for the time being, whilst it's a damp day out there, I'll stay in the garage and get cracking. Cheers. So these are the bits and pieces I'm going to be fitting. This large box, that's the air filter. That's the oil filter, and of course 2 spark plugs. And to help me through the process, I got my trusty Haynes manual for the Shadow Spirit. So, right, time to get the spanners out. Oh, and of course this is the recommended oil for it. Takes about 2.5 litres. I've got 4 in this particular bottle and a spare 1 litre. So I've got enough now for 2 full oil changes. So that's next year covered. Bit of future proofing. Right, so first things first, let's check out this air filter. That's going to be the first part that I put on it. There it is. Got this online, and it's a genuine high flow filter. I've used these before, perfectly good, does the job as it needs to do. The old one inside I think is going to be quite grubby, so let's take it off and have a look. Well, this is the old one that I've just taken out, and the foam, as you can see, is quite worn down. It's very, very thin compared to the new one, which is there. And inside, I don't know if you can see that, but inside it is looking quite grubby. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it is ready for a change. So this one's going in the bin, and this one's going on the bike. Give it a bit of a wipe in there. Oh, that's curious. It doesn't seem to just clip in, it just seems to be like a friction pressure with this casing. Once the casing's on, it must just push it into place and hold it there. So let's get the casing back on. And that's the air filter in. Right, next job, spark plugs. So just checking the book here now, I can see that the spark plug setting at the bottom here is between 31 and 35 thou. So I'm going to get the feeler gauge out and get the spark plug set up. They should be pretty close actually, because they're normally fairly well set up at the factory, but we'll check them anyway. Right, well, I don't know if you can see that there. I've got the feeler gauge set at 25 and 10 thou, which will give me the maximum of 35 thou, which is what I want. So let's get these spark plugs out and get them checked. And as you can see, it is sliding through, it's quite tight. So I'm reckoning it's slightly less than 35. Let's just see what it is. 25 and 6, that gives me the 31 thou that I want. See how close that is to it. Yeah. That slides in and it's got just a little grip, so that's spot on, is that one. So that's 31 thou. Let's check the other one. Should be the same. Sure enough it is. 31 thou. Spot on. Right, those can go in. So let's get them on the bike. There, press the magnet into service. Just take a closer look at that. As you can see, that doesn't look too bad. But for the sake of a new spark plug, let's get it in there. Right, let's hope the one to the other side's a lot easier. And this side looks just as good. Doesn't look to be anything wrong with that, but still. We'll swap it for the new one. There we go. Right, now to check the brake levers and to make sure that there's plenty of play where it should be and not too much. Right, that's the next job. Okay, so the rear brake pedal should have, according to the details here, about 50 millimeters of play that way. So I'm just going to check that with a ruler. And if I need to adjust it, I can adjust it at the back. I can also check it there to see what that play is as well, to make sure I'm not too far in. Right, let's get that done. A bit of a crude measurement, but this should do it. So 5 centimeters from there takes you down to there. So let's see what that measures out at. That measured out at 50 mil. We'll soon see. about 40, so that's well within. It's 50mm max, or 5 centimeters max. Right, so that's okay, don't need to adjust that. Let's get on to the next bit, which is going to be the clutch lever. Okay, so according to the book, the play on the clutch should be between 10 and 20mm. So let's go and check that. Right, it should be between 10 and 20mm, so 2 centimeters. So that should come to about here somewhere, which should be about right. And sure enough, it does. I'll move that over a bit. You can see there. Perfect. That doesn't need any adjustment. Right, so that's the basics done. Spark plugs are in, air filters in, the adjustment for the brakes and the clutch lever are fine. Don't need to adjust them in any way. So the next job is going to be the oil change. So before I can do the oil change, I've got to get the engine up to temperature. So I've popped it outside in the rain with a little bit of a cover over it, and hopefully it won't get too wet, and in the next 10 minutes or so I'll be able to bring it back in and get the oil changed. That's the next job. Meantime, I had a look at the brake pads in the front, and there's still quite a bit of meat on them, so they don't need changing just yet. But I would imagine by the end of this year it'll be a case of getting some new brake pads in there, and I do actually have some here. There they are. I can use these, I can pop these in. I think they'll probably do the job, but for the time being I'll leave it as it is. Right, everything's up to temperature. I've got my gloves on. I've got the drain bucket underneath the engine, and I've got my 17mm spanner to take the sump plug out. So here we go. Let's get cracking. Now, whilst that finishes draining, I've got the drain plug here with the crush washer on it. You can just see it there, little copper crush washer, which I think is going to be okay. But I have a few spare ones in a box here, so I'm just going to see if I can find one that's the same. Quite a few in this bag. Now, these that I've got, that's the original, and that's the one that I've got as a spare. And as you can see, it is ever so slightly smaller. Can you see that? But let's just see if it'll still fit on the yep, still fits on here, so it will do as a replacement. I shall keep the old one though, just in case. Right, I've put a tray underneath the open sump plug. I'm just going to let it continue draining now whilst I retire for some lunch. Catch you in a bit. Right, so that's it for lunch, and it's been about half an hour, so I reckon all the oil that was in the sump is now drained out. All I've got to do is take the oil filter off and pop the new one on. Got the oil filter right here, and that's it there. Bit of paper fell on the floor. There you go. So there's this little plastic trim on it just to keep this end clean. I've got a tool for taking this off. So the next job now is going to simply be to swap these over. Then I can fill it up with oil. 2.6 litres it takes. Right, let's get down there and get cracking. Well, hello again from the garage. This is actually day 2 of servicing the Honda, the Fox, and hit a bit of a snag. Getting the oil filter off is proving quite difficult. Now this tool, which is, I'll show you a bit closer, this tool here, which is one of these that you tighten it up and it supposedly grips onto the actual like that, supposedly grips onto the oil filter through there, through those jaws. Didn't touch it. It gripped it, but it just kept sliding off. So this tool has proven to be pretty useless for this job. So what I bought is I popped up over to Halfords yesterday and I got myself one of those strap wrenches. It's a metal band which grips around the oil filter really well, and hopefully that'll do the job. I checked out 1 or 2 things on YouTube as to how to get the thing off, because it is really on there tight. I put it on last year, whenever it was, and over the 12 months it's pretty much sealed itself to the engine. Anyway, one trick that was suggested to me was on the inside of the strap, on the strap tool, so I can't think of the name of the thing, was to line it with a coarse grit sandpaper to give it that extra adhesion, so it would grip it that bit tighter. So I've done that, and just show you a photograph of it here, and I've put it onto the back of the oil filter and tightened it up. I used a pair of mole grips to really get a good grip on it. I've sprayed a bit of WD-40 around the edge of the oil filter, and hopefully that will do the job. So I'm going to leave it for 20 minutes or so for the WD to work its way in, and in the meantime I'm going to go around and put a bit of grease on all the linkages. So let's get on with that particular job. Okay, so I've greased up the linkages, the rear brake and the foot pegs, clutch cable, and of course the pegs and what have you on the other side. So everything's had a little coat of grease. That should keep it fairly well protected. Right, now the moment of truth. Can I get that oil filter off? It's coming. Oh yeah. I'm getting there. It's actually moving. Yeah, I think the sandpaper trick has worked. So that band of sandpaper there gave it an extra bit of grip, and maybe with a combination of the WD-40 that was on there as well, it's coming off. Maybe a bit of oil there, so I've got a tin under it to catch it. Yeah, there it goes. There you go. Let that drain out. What a job that's been. Right, we'll just let that drip out, and I'll go put the kettle on. This was the tool that I bought, as you can see, and it just clamps tight with that at the bottom there. And the YouTube suggested that if I just put a bit of sandpaper in there like that, and then clamp it onto the bottom of the oil filter like that, really tight, the actual grit on the sandpaper grips the oil filter really well, and it actually starts to move it. If you just turn it slowly, you can feel it starting to move, and eventually it just gives and it comes off easily. What I also did is I put a little bit of WD-40 on it just to try and penetrate the seal, and it seemed to work. It did a great job. So this tool is a winner. The other tool, I'm afraid, is going to be an ornament. But anyway, this can now go in the bin, and I've drained it all out. So it's just a case now of putting the other oil filter back on, the new one. So let's put this on a piece of newspaper somewhere out of the way. Now, this is the new oil filter, ready to go on. And the good thing about this one, as you can see here, it's a slightly different design. It has a nut shape onto the end, which just nicely fits a 17mm spanner. So hopefully I won't have that problem again. Fingers, toes, eyes and anything else crossed. So I'm going to take this cover off it now, put a little bit of oil around the edge and get this one on. This is the first litre. Go in. There we go. So that's the fresh oil gone in, 2.6 litres, which is what it says in the book. That's if you're changing the oil filter, which turned out to be quite a task. I didn't realise it was going to be such a job to get that oil filter off. I did consider just basically banging a screwdriver through it and just prizing it off, but no, that's admitting defeat. I'm going to do it properly and use the right tools. So there you go. That's the oil filter done and the oil replaced. Just going to let it settle now for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I shall roll it outside, start it up, and just let it all get to temperature, and then I can check the oil level. If it needs a bit of a top up, then I've got plenty left over. There she goes, she's just getting up to temperature now. Got to wait for about 5 or 10 minutes while it gets nice and warm. I've also put a piece of cardboard underneath the oil filter just to make sure there's no leaks. Right, it's been stood a while now. Let's just check the oil. Right. Pop it in. Oh, exhaust's hot. And I don't know if you can see that, the oil level is good. So I don't need to put any more in. Pop that in there. Job's done. That's it for another year. Finished finally. Hope you've enjoyed watching this. It's been a bit of fun doing it. Kept me busy for a couple of days, certainly. And I'll finish off in my usual way by saying thanks very much for watching, and look after yourselves, look after the people around you, and until next time, bye for now.